Well, welcome back from that amazing break. I'm always super inspired when I get to talk to the poster presentation winners and just hear the energy and inspiring research that all of you presented. So thanks for coming here today. And you know, to everyone else who's spending your valuable time here, I hope you're finding the day as inspiring as I am. My name's Joan Wills. I work at Cummins, where I lead the software and electronics engineering organization who supports our range of products from traditional natural gas and diesel to hydrogen internal combustion engines, fuel cell, as well as battery propulsion systems for both small kind of commercial vehicles as well as large-scale mining construction and a range of products. So some of the harder to abate sectors. So I appreciated Sally's presentation, as I always do, for all of the above, which many of those things will be needed for our sectors. So I'm proud to be a C3E ambassador and contribute each year to nomination and selection of these amazing award winners that you're getting to meet and hear from yesterday and today. And reading the nominations each year, it's so difficult and is truly inspiring to select from the many qualified nominees. I'm here to give the Government Award, which recognizes local, state, or federal government employees, such as civil servants, regulators, or elected officials, who have advanced policies, regulations, or incentives to support the development, deployment, and diffusion of clean energy. And it is my true honor to introduce Luam Tesfaye to receive this award. She serves as the Deputy Executive Director for Energy and Climate Policy at the California Public Utilities Commission, managing a staff of more than 200 analysts and engineers, and she's hiring to expand that. With over 11 years at the CPUC, she's played a pivotal role in diverse areas, including clean energy procurement, transmission development, climate adaptation, reliability, energy efficiency, transportation electrification, complex energy finance and rate recovery, and distributed energy resources. She is also an active member of the American Association of Blacks in Energy and holds positions on the board of the League of Women Voters in San Francisco, as well as Executive Committee of the Environmental Law section of the California Bar. She just returned from a vacation in Italy to be here today, so welcome, Luam.
All right, good morning. And thank you, Joan, so much for that kind introduction. I'd like to start by thanking Department of Energy and the C3E ambassadors for selecting me for this government award. I also wanted to thank MIT, Stanford, and Texas A&M University for your support of this program as well. I've really enjoyed this event. Wow, especially the student presentations, and I really appreciate all of the breaks that we've had to connect with students. As Joan said, I am hiring. I even think I found someone yesterday to help me think more about some issues that we have around freight infrastructure planning for transportation electrification, so I'm definitely getting so much out of this event. And just a big congratulations to all of the students on their presentations. I also wanted to just talk about how much this recognition means to me due to my nomination by my colleagues, Pat Sen, Allison Labonte, and Ann Kim, as well as the recommenders that I had from the California Public Utilities Commission, Commissioner Genevieve Sharoma, as well as California Air Resources Board Chair Leanne Randolph, who are two women who have spent several years mentoring me and often seeing me for more than I even saw myself. Next, I need to also brag a little bit because I get to work at the California Public Utilities Commission, which is an agency where 4 out of our 5 commissioners are women, 3 of those 4 being women of color. This includes our president, who is a woman, also our executive director, our general counsel, and our chief administrative law judge. So can I get a round of applause for that? I am here representing all of them, as well as the hardworking and creative staff at the California Public Utilities Commission. In particular, the Public Utilities Commission's Energy Division that I have the honor of leading, really with a North Star of affordability, reliability, safety, and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. We are continuing to innovate in this work, and all with equity at our focal point, given the CPUC's adoption of an Environmental and Social Justice Action Plan in 2019. Thanks to the leadership of Governor Newsom and our legislature, California is taking the boldest steps on climate and building more clean energy faster to achieve our world-leading climate goals of net zero emissions and achieving 100% clean electricity. That was one of the things I enjoyed about the last panel, is how do we do the work faster? Because that is a question I receive every day from our leadership. And just some examples of that: California has more solar capacity on our system than any other state, at over 38,000 megawatts of solar. And then a more interesting story has been in recent years, where California went from 500 megawatts of battery storage in 2020 to building over 5,400 megawatts of battery storage on our system today. And so that push is really what's getting us to where we need to go faster. I really enjoyed the presentation that we got yesterday from ERCOT talking about the reliability issues that we're seeing on the grid in Texas, and we're seeing similar reliability issues on the grid in California. And that push for more battery storage has really been key for us addressing that net peak issue. But it's not just about building to reach these goals. We also have to engage our customers, and this has really enhanced my perspective on the critical importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion at our agency in order for us to successfully reach our greenhouse gas reduction goals. Like Sally was saying earlier, we have to engage all customers to do things like adopting electric vehicles and energy efficiency in their homes, a very intimate place, to decarbonize their appliances, to change when they do energy-intensive activities. And in a state as diverse as California, in order to be successful and address climate change, we need to be able to engage all of our customers. And a diverse staff enhances our ability to be creative and develop the most effective programs and connect to the most customers. In California, 40% of people speak a language other than English at the home. This is a number that really resonates with me as someone with English as my second language. And engagement and development, it's not just in language, it's also in culture, customs, and habits. This means energy programs that are able to effectively address households that are multi-generational, or even cook in a certain way. And of course, I wanted to end by thanking my close friends for their support, as well as my family. You know, my parents moved to the United States from Ethiopia and Eritrea during the war, and without their courage and sacrifice, I really wouldn't be, here on stage and engaging with all of you here today. Thank you.
Good morning. It's my pleasure this morning to introduce the recipient of the C3E International Award, Elizabeth Lizzie Baini Amisa. I'm Brian Wilson, Director of the Energy Institute at Colorado State University, where I'm also a Professor of Mechanical Engineering. I served for 4 years at DOE at RPE, and relevant to this award, I've been able to work for the last 20 years on working to drive technology solutions, deployment of energy solutions in sub-Saharan Africa. For the past 3 years, it's been my pleasure to serve as a C3E ambassador, where I am in the unusual position of being a gender minority. And it's just been awesome working with such an awesome group of ambassadors to celebrate the contributions of women in driving clean energy and climate solutions. Our international awardee, Lizzie Baini Amisa, is an entrepreneur with roots in both the U.S. and Africa. She was born in the U.S. but holds dual citizenship in the U.S. and Ghana. She did her bachelor's degree in molecular biology at Princeton and later earned a master's of public administration at Harvard. Just after her bachelor's degree, she went Wall Street and as an analyst for a variety of equity funds. Then at age 25 had an epiphany, asking herself, Did trading stock futures on the secondary markets really change the world? So she left her bonus on Wall Street, somewhat to her mother's chagrin, went to Ghana and began working with the Ministry of Health on a variety of policy initiatives. During her work on health policies, she had another epiphany when the power went out, when a friend of hers was on the operating table, really driving home the message that one of the primary challenges to healthcare in sub-Saharan Africa is reliable access to energy. So typical Lizzie, she then went all in on working with a variety of venture funds, Electra, Global EQ, Energy Access Ventures. She helped launch a 30-megawatt wind project in Cape Verde, over a megawatt of power projects throughout Ghana, and most recently a Metrogrid initiative in the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is tough duty. She's currently on a short sabbatical before launching a new venture fund focusing on decarbonization initiatives in Africa, and really exciting for this group on building the network of women to accelerate the entrepreneurial ecosystem for decarbonization and climate initiatives across Africa. Lizzie and I had a great time this morning catching up on the many common friendships we have, and I now invite you to welcome Lizzie Baini-Amisa as our recipient of C3E's award in the international category. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. It's so nice to be here. I was telling Susan earlier today, Susan Petty, that this is the tribe thing I would think I've always been looking for. The work that I've done in Africa is very male-led, often the only woman of color in the room. So to be in this room with so many of you who've done amazing things, I told Maria when she called me, I had just closed a really tough deal in DRC. It took us 2.5 years to raise a Series B for a Metrogrid company, basically an off-grid utility. About 15 megawatts funded in this round, but we've built concessions for another 40 megawatts for the next round of funding. And so it was the light I needed at a difficult time where I had decided to step away from work that I loved so I could recalibrate and then do it on my own. I'm going to start with gratitude. My nominator is a fellow Princetonian and a fellow woman working in energy in Africa. We call her a kingmaker because she's 2 for 2 now on C3E Awards. So we're going to be nominating her soon as well. Her name is Catherine Jean-Pierre, COO of Cross Boundary Energy. I just thank her for taking an interest in me. When she wrote my nomination letter, I was like, who is this? Is that me? And so really just appreciate her, appreciate my references. Jonathan Shaw of Nuru, that's the Metrogrid company in DRC. We've worked together for a long time. And one of my LPs in Proparco, Natasha Corvinius. I have a number of mentors and former bosses, Ebe, Jonathan, Chris, Orly, Lucy, and Will, who have given me the wings to swing big. I was a MolBio major, kind of typical first gen. Parents said you could be a doctor, a lawyer, engineer. Did the Wall Street thing because Princeton's right near New York. And when I was doing my national service in Ghana in 2007, as Brian described, the power went out during a minor surgery and the generator didn't work. And so there was somebody open on the table using cell phone lights and bottles of water to try to get them stable so they could be moved to the general hospital. And I realized that the inputs and the infrastructure are just as important as the human capital. I thank my mentees. I think Gina said yesterday that mentees can be mentors. So Tony, Lorraine, and Priscilla, thank you so much. I thank you to my partners at Tibra, the Boardroom Africa. This is my new venture where I'm going to be spinning out an investment advisory and venture fund. Marcia, Nanafwa, and Rochelle. We've been cooking this up for about a year and a half, and I'm really happy that Q1 it's going to come to be. Thank my life partner, Alfred Anyango, who says I earn my sleep. When we're trying to watch a movie at night, I fall asleep all the time. He's like, you're one of the hardest working people I know, for putting up for me, for also steadying me and grounding me in faith. My tribe of women in all corners that keep me honest, that look for me when I get lost. And I dedicate this award to Suzanne Beagle, who just passed away last week from metastatic lung cancer. She's the founder of Gender Smart Investing. She's a pioneer in gender lens and climate investing. She set up a fund called Heading for Change, focusing on climate and gender lens as her legacy. So if you have a chance, check that out. And then finally, my family. My grandma and grandpa moved here in the late 70s, my maternal grandparents. My grandmother would be now a serial founder, as we call in BC. My mom has taught me the power of community and connection. My dad moved here 50 years ago and kind of put his hobbies and his passion aside so he could provide for our family, move us from the inner city in the Bronx to Philly and then to Richmond, Virginia. So Dad, I appreciate every car ride, carpool, soccer game, rugby game. Thanks for being here. And I also want to thank my family friend, Mei Ling, who came all the way from Yale. She's somebody who keeps me on my toes and keeps me pushing for greater. And so what do I do? So I have operated for the last 15 years at what I like to call the nexus of business and government. I started my career in energy and project finance as a developer. My first project was a 28 megawatt wind farm in Cape Verde, on 4 islands in Cape Verde, about 84 million euros. It was an interesting project because we didn't need a feed-in tariff because we were just directly displacing HFO. And it was the first commercially financed wind project in West Africa. From there, I worked on a combined cycle gas turbine plant. It was 15% of the installed capacity in Ghana. And then I took a break. I went to the Kennedy School down the road. And I said, I think we focus so much on generation and energy access, but we really need to create the regulatory and policy environment to be able to sustain these innovations. After that, I went to GlobalEC, restructured their strategy in West Africa, and then 3 years ago, I swung big and I left what I know and I went into VC, venture capital. I focus now on energy and climate tech companies, really trying to directly focus on climate action, climate resilience. As you know, Africa is disproportionately affected by the effects of climate change. 9 out of the 10 most climate vulnerable countries are in Africa. And so I believe this is my life's work. I think that this recognition has really refocused the work that I want to do, finding allies and partners. A lot of the work that I do, I am very grateful to USAID, USTDA, Power Africa, and a number of US agencies that I can leverage as an American citizen living on the ground, working on the ground to identify opportunities to provide grants, to provide subsidies, to provide catalytic capital that invests in the infrastructure that supports innovation. I'm very lucky and I'm very, very grateful to meet somebody like Suzanne Petty. She was in the first class at Princeton. 50 years ago, she graduated. And I think of women that went before me in all these different institutions. I stand on their shoulders. And as I move forward, I am very excited to be part of this community. I'm going to steal from a classmate, my friend Gordo, from his wedding speech to his wife. He said, community advocacy and partnership are the 3 pillars by which society should be based, but relationships should be based. And I think sometimes we feel like we're the only and we have nobody else to lean on. Listening to Gina yesterday and seeing how many women she thanked in her speech. My partners in my fund were on the call and they're like, we need to do better. We need to reach out. We need to pave ways for the people behind us, but also reach forward and work with some of the women that were the only and feel like they're the only to help them realize that their experience and the paths that they have catalyzed for us are seen, appreciated, and we have work to do. And lastly, I'll tell you a bit about the new venture. So Tibra X Ventures is going to be spun out from the Boardroom Africa, Tibra. Tibra was founded 7 years ago to put women on boards, primarily in Africa and now globally. And so now we have a network of about 3,000 women that in and of themselves will create a very robust ecosystem for venture. We have operating partners, venture partners, potential board members, mentors, and potential investors right there within that network. And we're super excited as women to be able to catalyze this work. Climate and energy will be the leading pillar in our investment strategy. We'll also focus on ed tech, health tech, and then we'll have a general tech-enabled bucket that will allow us to be able to focus on things that change livelihood. And so thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be part of your fold. And if you're ever in Nairobi or Accra, please look me up. Thank you.